This is Quantum Flow Radio, organizing thought particles into a flow of collective consciousness.
Hello, my friend.
Hey.
How are you?
I'm doing well. You have a certain glow about you today.
I do.
Yeah, it's like you're glowing.
Well, actually, I was just down the road in front of the new cell tower that they put up down there.
Did you see that thing?
Yeah. It looks like something out of Cape Canaveral or something. But,
So that's why maybe you're glowing.
Yeah. In fact, some of the lights came on my way in, and I didn't touch the switch, so I was a little scared about that.
Okay, Uncle Fester. I think maybe one day we're all going to be Uncle Fester.
Yeah, I think so too.
And that brings us to our today's topic.
Yes, which is
5G.
Yes.
And we're not talking about God, gold, guns, government, and gasoline. We're
Not that
talking
5G.
about fifth generation
cellular technology.
Yeah.
Along with
EMF.
Yeah, along with Wi-Fi and cell towers and Bluetooth and all this other stuff.
Just everything.
Yep.
When we thought about maybe talking about this subject, I was just kind of, cavalier about it, saying, oh, okay, yeah, sure, because this is something maybe, you wanted to put out there because may I say this, you have been personally affected with the 4G.
Yeah.
And now we're on the precipice of 5G, and in fact, it's already being
test market.
Yeah, unveiled in
Launched.
certain cities, and we're going to go through certain cities that already have it.
Yeah.
And we're right smack in the dab of the middle of this being launched nationwide,
Yeah.
and
With absolute minimal research, if any.
or zero, as I found out.
Yeah.
So when I got into this, I said, okay, yeah, it's a little topic, Unbeknownst to me, it is just exploded. I mean, the amount of information is a little bit hard to find, but this topic goes so deep and wide. And I'll tell you this, we've done a lot of shows.
Yeah.
This quite possibly could be one of the most important ones because this is a clampdown on human consciousness.
Absolutely.
And it could affect everybody.
Not just everybody, but everything.
Everything.
Animals,
everything
plants,
living.
minerals, everything.
I mean, are you listening to this? I mean, if you stop listening right now, you're going to miss out because I'm telling you, this information could be and probably will be vital to your health and your happiness.
Yeah, near and dear to your heart and other
literally
parts.
to your heart.
Yep.
And that's where it affects people too.
Absolutely. I'm living proof of that,
Right.
my friend.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I mean, you have to plug yourself in every night.
I do.
Or plug yourself out, more
Yeah.
like it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So where do you start with this? We should probably just, some people, this is a brand new topic.
Yeah.
And they don't cover it in the news.
No,
you know
of
why?
course not.
They don't highlight the fact, they only highlight the benefits, which I found out to be two little things. And I'm not going to give them to you now. We'll get to it.
Right.
But they don't talk about it because they want you distracted with everything else.
Yep.
The political arena and this and that and everything else. They don't want to highlight what is really going on with 5G technology, and what it does and how it's going to be implemented and where they're going to implement it.
Yeah, and we probably should clarify just from the top, 5G is not a frequency.
No.
But a generation.
Yeah,
so this is fifth generation.
It's fifth generation as opposed to what we have or what was in the past fourth generation.
Right.
And then I looked on my phone, and my phone's not even fourth generation.
Yeah, you're probably third G, right? 3G.
Well, it's not a 2, but I know that my phone company keeps saying every time I call in, would you like to upgrade now? And I press the other button.
No.
Yeah, I don't know.
So.
I mean, I have a gut feeling about this stuff.
Yeah, well, for me, the only wireless technology that I have in my daily life these days that I can choose from is my cell phone. You got to have a cell phone, But many times I leave it on airplane mode.
Wow.
And the
Does that
Wi-Fi's
help?
turned off. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, the
Airplane
Wi-Fi's
mode.
turned off. The location services are turned off. The Bluetooth is turned off.
But I thought you had to be in an airplane when you're on the airplane mode. So I guess that's how much I know.
Yeah, no, airplane mode is basically just turning off the cellular signal, and there's no way anyone can reach you, and you can't reach anyone else. It's just basically a handheld tablet at that point.
I am so low tech. I do love my internet because without the internet, I probably would not have woken up.
Sure.
Well, maybe not as quickly
or thoroughly.
but with the clamp down on the internet, it's harder for people to even wake up now through the internet. So you need to know somebody, and of course they're they're censoring everybody.
Sure.
We already did that subject.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, but everyone loves their Wi-Fi. You go to Starbucks, and they don't want to be inconvenienced. We need to keep up with the Joneses. I've got to get my email and my Facebook post immediately.
Right.
Right.
Yep.
So.
Get that picture of that double macchiato latte on there.
So the 5G from the surface, which is a funny play on words, because it's going to affect your surface skin and maybe deeper.
Yeah.
But 5G, it sounds so great. Hey, but there's a small catch.
Yep. The next slice of bread, but
it could kill you.
Could.
That's what, and we're not being funny here. It sounds, we're joking a little bit because we always have a touch of humor with serious subjects. Because if we were all gloom and doom, who wants to hear that? But we'll package it with some lightness and airiness.
Sure.
5th generation. So you want me to kind of define it a little bit?
Absolutely.
Okay. So 5th generation. It's high data rate, reduced latency, energy savings, cost reduction, increased system capacity, and massive device connectivity. Sounds great, right?
Yeah, awesome, right?
Yeah. So we have to ask the question, who benefits, who profits, different questions, and what is the ultimate goal of rolling this out?
Machines.
Machines.
AI.
It's the machine world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's really not going to benefit the common man that much. It's really not a huge improvement over 4G.
Well,
but this is all about high tech data streaming and data services.
Well, guess what? We can actually quantify the difference. 4G is 50 milliseconds delay. Is a 50 millisecond delay.
Yeah. So slow.
I mean, oh my gosh, it is. I mean, come on, we can do better than that.
Really?
So 5G is a 1 millisecond delay, which is, I mean, the difference is
it's nearly quantum.
Yeah, it's incomprehensible. It's so minuscule. On a human basis, we won't notice any difference.
No.
But what it does is, the difference is this. It makes a seamless time. So it's almost like real time. It's seamless communications for machines.
Yes.
Not for us.
Right.
And does this, I'll ask another question, does this not open a Pandora's box of trouble for us physically, emotionally, and our planet and every living things? Because when we talk about what 5G is and how strong it is, and that it's microwave, and let me repeat, microwave technology.
Or as some people call it, radiation.
It is.
Yeah.
It is radiation. Never before seen on Earth.
Or tested.
Yeah.
This is the
well,
big
it's being tested on us.
Yeah, this is the test. We're the guinea pigs.
And some cities are being tested right now, and they're guinea pigs. And if you live in these cities, God help you.
Yep, have fun with that.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't mean to be, flippant with that.
No, I want you to be flippant because
so many people are out there trying to stop this technology invasion of 5G, and it's for naught.
I really believe it's all part of this mass agenda to eradicate human beings from the earth. Think of it like this. You're out, you're walking on the sidewalk, and an ant crosses your path.
Yep.
Some people feel that ant has an ant world and belongs in this, has as much right as you do.
So you step over it.
And you step over it.
Like I do.
Some people don't.
No.
And some people just, and that's how other people think about you. Think about that.
Yep. And then others will chase it until they can squash it.
Or play with it.
Yeah.
And maybe that's even a crueler
Yep. Well, that's the difference between humanity and, bipedal earth creatures.
It really sickens me. I think we're coming to a point where people are insane. And I hate to say that. Yeah. And, people accuse me of being crazy and insane because I have certain views on certain subjects. I'm just being open-minded.
Right.
I'm just expressing, hey, what if?
Shame on you.
Got to ask the question. I know. Gosh, I'm so dumb.
Yeah.
I mean, I got to be the stupidest guy on
I
earth.
don't know why I'm here with you.
Because these chairs are really comfy.
They are, but better for watching a movie.
Oh yeah, I really feel like if your face was like a movie screen, it'd be really awesome.
Yeah.
So what the 5G cell towers are, they're probably more dangerous than any other type of cell towers that are out there.
Yeah.
And
just for the benefit of those who don't really know much about any of this stuff, what we're talking about here is digital data stream information, basically in pulsed radiation, particularly for 5G. This is just it is the radiation and the electromagnetic signals coming off of these particular cell towers and antennas is strong enough that you can basically check throughout the world and see these what are called clusters, right? Tower clusters. People who are living near and around these yeah. Have developed multiple types of cancers. And
already,
and the closer that you are to these existing towers, and there's some 300,000 of them in our country alone, the worse off you are. And now with 5G, we're talking about an antenna, not a tower, an antenna placed every 300 feet.
The definition is that 5G, and I have actually the breakdown here, and I also have a perfect example of what's going on. Allow me to elaborate.
Elaborate, my
yes.
friend.
So these 5G towers are incredibly dangerous, at least are perceived to be. And the reason being is 5G is ultra high frequency and intensity. 1G through 4G use between 1 to 5 gigahertz frequency. So 1 to 5 gigahertz. I feel like I'm in that Back to the Future movie.
Right.
The gigahertz and the flux capacitor.
Exactly.
So 5G, guess what 5G uses?
It's way higher than that.
24 to 90, depending on where you are, gigahertz.
Yeah.
So just even if you don't even know what a gigahertz is, it's quantumly significantly larger by it's a huge multiple.
Sure.
I mean, and we were already feeling the effects of 4G, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, even with just simple basic electricity, particularly here in America, we're at 60 cycles per second, which is hertz. Okay, so 60 hertz. So your typical 120 volt or 117 volt power circuit is 60 hertz. Okay, so now we're talking about
multiples of that.
Yeah, millions.
We don't want to lose you because we don't want to get too technical, but these
it's just a lot. Let's just say it's a lot of power. It's a lot of microwave radiation.
It's a lot more than probably what humans could take on, at least over a long time period. And we have examples. But this frequency within the RF radiation portion of the electromagnetic spectrum, right? The higher the frequency, the more dangerous it is. The more dangerous it is to living organisms, and that means everything: plants, animals, people.
Yep.
Anything that has cells.
Yeah.
Because
and let's face it, folks, rocks have cells.
Sure.
So everything is animate.
Yeah. And you're right about that 300 meters. I mean, that's just crazy because even though these are very, very high frequency and intense, they're shorter wavelengths. And because of that, for some reason, the higher frequency, the shorter the wavelength.
Yeah.
That means cell towers, and we're talking significant dangerous cell towers, will be placed we'll just quantify it like this, about every 8 houses.
Yeah. Well, yeah, antennas.
Antennas, yeah. So it's like a 300-meter proximity that it really works.
Lamp posts, stop signs, anywhere where they have available power to power them.
The great news is it's going to be like real time, and so if you're doing like wireless technology, like wireless cars, this would help. So you could be in another part of the country and drive a car across the country in real time.
Right.
Wow, who doesn't want to do that?
Yeah.
I'd rather get in my old, 1978 Trans Am and drive it myself. Sorry.
Exactly.
I mean, that's fun.
Yeah. It's about the journey.
If you want to, drive a car, remote, get on a video game or something.
Yeah.
But for some reason, they feel like,
Well, the gamers are going to love this stuff.
Yeah.
It's be a lot faster.
Yeah, it's almost
Faster
as if
response time.
for drones and all this kind of stuff.
Sure.
Too.
Yeah.
And listen, I
And
I
let's
fight
not
tech-
forget, espionage and intelligence and all that stuff.
that kind of drones, yeah. But if it's a drone that's maybe spreading water over crops,
Sure.
it could be helpful.
Yeah,
but
taking pictures of houses,
of course,
things like that.
taking pictures inside people's houses.
Right.
Yeah. Well, and this all lays into the surveillance state.
Sure.
I mean, they'll be able to find people in real time, which means your beautiful face that you have there that you look in the mirror every morning.
Yep.
Well, they're looking at it too, and if you did something wrong, they'll find you in minutes.
Sure.
Anywhere you are.
Yeah.
Especially if you're in public, out in public areas.
Yeah, and if you have your location services turned on your cell phone,
Well, it's even
and
easier.
it's in your purse or in your pocket, wherever. I mean, it's beeping out there and telling everybody where you are.
I don't know if my phone has that because it's only 3G, but
Yeah.
it probably does. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, probably not. Well, if you have map services and GPS, which you don't,
No,
then
it's
you're
all turned
probably,
off.
Yeah, you're probably clear with that.
I still get texts and phone calls.
Yeah.
Isn't that the purpose of it?
Yeah.
I mean, I really don't want to look at another video screen. I get enough of it when I go home. Yeah.
Dude, I'd be happy with like one of those old sidekicks.
Well, you say that, but I know you're a little bit more plugged in than
I am.
me. Yeah.
I am. Yeah, I'm reading off an iPad. You have a notebook
That's written in
in
pen and pencil.
Yeah,
It's a
but it's all good.
Well, I have a million of these. I mean, that's like my life's work.
Right. Right.
So your life's work could be unplugged and it's gone.
Well, yeah, because I type much faster than I write.
Hey.
And it's just
I'm not-
I need copies everywhere, on all my different devices.
I would never fault you, and most people are electronically based now.
Yeah.
I mean,
But remember also, I just want to throw this in, with all of my technology and all my devices, everything in the studio, everything in my own home, it's all hardwired.
Okay, well, don't give too many secrets because they're listening.
Yeah, but
Okay.
but it's all hardwired. There's no wireless technology in or around me unless I just stumble into the public where it is.
Yeah. So we did discuss, the 5G uses the shorter length millimeter waves
Right.
that don't travel as far, which means that the signal is less reliable over longer distances. And ironically, the 4G travels, I mean, it's a really long distance wavelength.
Yeah.
And, I feel we're okay.
Yeah.
We're okay with that.
Well, I'm
But
not,
someone says,
but it's okay.
but, there's just going to be towers everywhere. And so I told you I was going to give you an example, and you said it could be harmful. Well, one of the places that they unveiled this 5G technology first, or one of the first states, is California, because California always is cutting edge.
Right.
They're always going to get hip and latch on to things quicker than anybody else.
Yeah.
And that's where a lot of this technology is based, right?
Sure.
Silicon Valley.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So
they're always first with the earthquakes and the bonfires
And the droughts
and the droughts, and so they might as well be first with this.
we won't even talk about other aspects of that. Okay, so Los Angeles was definitely, as you hear this, it's probably already in the process or have been hooked up to this 5G. Specifically, Sacramento, California.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
sure.
this was a big hub.
What West County or something like that.
Well, this is not a good story. And I mean, okay, so what's happened is there's a school in Sacramento. I'm not going to even give the name.
Yeah.
Okay. You can look it up. But the parents are blaming the elementary school's cell tower, which happens to be like right on the school.
Of course.
And they're
It's generating income.
they're getting very, very suspicious here after the fourth student has been diagnosed with cancer.
Now, this is elementary school.
It's in elementary school.
Yeah.
I mean, I got tears in my eyes.
Sure.
I mean, this is.
And
I mean,
that's
come on.
that's not the first one. That's
No,
not the
no, no,
only
no,
one.
no.
They're everywhere. You just don't hear about it. Mainstream media is not going to feed it to you.
No. So guess what? We won't point out. There's a couple big companies. AT&T, Verizon, and a couple other ones.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay.
So yeah. Well, hey. So I don't know if it's them or not because I don't live in California. But the fact is that they're paying a lot of money. It's really not a lot of money, but they're paying $2,000 a month
Mm-hmm.
to house this large connectivity tower for 5G.
Radiation stick.
Okay. We went from cancer sticks to radiation sticks.
Yeah.
So they pay him $2,000 a month.
Mm-hmm.
So for $24,000 a year,
Yep.
4 kids have contracted, and I don't know if it's terminal cancer, but it's a form of cancer. Any type of cancer for a kid,
Yep.
not good.
Not good.
No. How would you like your kid to get this?
Yeah.
No.
And then look over there and say, you know, when we drive around and we see these big, gigantic smokestacks with black smoke pouring out of them, you know, you can't help but wonder. You say to yourself, well, geez, that can't be good, right? Because we could see it.
Yeah.
But if you could actually see the radiation spewing from these cell towers and antennas and from Wi-Fi and Bluetooth and your smart meter on the side of your house, this would just be, it would be absurd. You would freak out if you could see it.
It's invisible. And think of this. What is your microwave, you know, in your house? I mean, everybody has a microwave. Most people do. In fact, some people, I just talked to this guy this weekend.
Yeah.
And he's like, dude, I got rid of my microwave. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
He's like, no, man, I am going back to just heating stuff up on the stove.
My sister-in-law's never had one, never will.
Yeah. And I'm popping that thing open more than I should. If you consciously think about what you're doing on a daily basis and how many things you're reheating and stuff, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, the microwaves.
It's the same technology.
It's the same technology, although there is a slight difference.
More power.
Well, yeah, it's a lot more power. But the microwaves in your microwave, it sends it wirelessly, kind of like, you know, and it's radiation, but it heats water up.
Yep.
Now, this technology, even though it's similar, it doesn't necessarily heat up the cells of your body. You know, you're made of 70, 80% water.
Yeah.
So you would never put you never put the cat in the microwave. You know, when you were a kid, you always heard the story about that. So you wouldn't never, ever expose yourself to a microwave. They always say, you know, don't open it up when it's done. Let it sit wait until, you know, and let it stop. And then you pop the door open because it's still going.
Yep.
So
there's a lot of shielding in there.
Yeah. Well, yeah. If you notice, it looks like it looks like a gladiator. Going on there. I mean, you're not messing around with, you know, something that's, you know, it's not a toaster.
No, it's not. So stop popping the door open before it's done.
Well, thank you. I'm going to heed that advice.
Yeah.
But the point here is, it doesn't necessarily heat up the water in your body, but it's doing the same kind of damage without the heat and without any visible. You can't see it.
Yep.
So you have no idea where it's coming from unless you have a device. Like, don't you have a device that measures the
I do.
EMF?
I have multiple meters, that I test.
They're not hooked to your body.
No.
Okay.
No. But I do test, and I test frequently.
But you can also sense this.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you're hypersensitive to this because you know what it does to you.
Yeah.
Most people are just oblivious.
Yeah, it took a while for me to realize that's what it was.
You feel different.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll go into that.
Yeah, we will. Yeah,
how it affects
the body.
I did want to mention while you're talking about the microwave and heating the water, Barry Trower, who is a brilliant guy that tours the world talking about the effects of electromagnetic radiation, he has a very simple statement that he makes. He says that science will tell you that if you microwave an egg long enough, it becomes hard. But what they won't tell you is if you don't microwave the egg, it becomes a chicken. So here we are. Basically, we're that egg.
And a lot of people have pregnancies that, you know, bearing children in their womb.
Exactly.
Think about that.
Exactly. And not just that, but autism, ADD, anxiety. There's so many, you know, multiple sclerosis, fibromyalgia. There's so many things that are
Sound like a doctor.
Yeah, well, I've been doing.
Oh no, you actually sound like one of the commercials during the news.
We got to do a disclaimer. So yeah, because let's face it, Western medicine particularly, if you go to see someone, I'm not saying all of them are like this, but this is the general rule of thumb. If you go see someone with 1 or 2 or 20 or 30 symptoms of something, okay, they're going to use the knowledge that they have and the tools that they have to try to diagnose what it is that you have.
Correct.
Okay? But electromagnetic hypersensitivity in those who suffer from it, which right now it's estimated that maybe 5 to 10% of the population of the world has electrohypersensitivity or EHS. The symptoms are the same as 300 different diseases. So you're never going to go to a doctor and he's going to say, oh, geez, you know what? You need to turn off that microwave while you're sleeping. I mean, that Wi-Fi system while you're sleeping at night. You know, they're not going to do that.
Well, and how many doctors are going to have the consciousness to ask the question, do you live by a big
or
cell
the
tower?
knowledge or the awareness? It's not their fault. I don't fault them for it. It's just not readily available.
No, they only have limited time. They have 10 minutes because that's all your healthcare will provide you with the doctor, because they have 35 people to see in an afternoon.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that's affordable healthcare for you.
Now, before I went into the whole...
Congratulations, America. You did such a great job.
Great job.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, very nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, I wish the old days you could just call the old doctor up and he would come over to your house. I'm sorry, I cut you off.
Remember that?
No, I don't. I barely.
do.
Oh, you do?
Yeah,
okay, well, you're an old guy.
Yeah, I'm an old guy. I was born in the...
Oh, well, you're in one of those rural states.
Yeah, in the hills of the South, and you called the doctor, and he just swung by the house.
Well, it could be worse. You could have been born at a military hospital, like some of us.
Yeah. That's.
I can't give you any more information than that.
It's done.
I'll start
Finished.
finding
Yep.
me. So, but just to finish up on this horrible thing about the children.
Yeah,
there's a guy.
I went to the whole Barry Trower thing.
No. Listen, that was interesting, but there is another guy named Eric Windheim.
Okay.
And he's an expert. You know, who's an expert now, but supposedly he's an expert on this. And he states, he goes, children are still developing.
Yeah.
And they're growing all the way till maybe 18. When the child is young, especially in elementary school, this is absolutely the worst possible time in their life to be exposed to radiation.
Yep.
I mean, period.
I remember also the thickness of the skull. Their skulls are not anywhere near to the thickness of a full-grown adult. So, you put a cell phone up against that.
Listen to what you just said. It's so funny because as you get older, you get really hard-headed.
The thick skull. There's a reason for that.
Yeah.
But these kids that are out there using cell phones and stuff like that, they're being exposed at a much higher level than we are.
Yeah.
Simply because they don't have enough protection in place yet.
Before we move on, and just to finish up, we mentioned, there's different phases that they're unveiling this technology. And I actually, I did some intel. And of the big communication companies that are here, we're talking specifically in America.
Yeah.
I can tell you which cities or areas have been where 5G is probably out right now and where it's coming.
Yeah.
I thought it was a little bit different than I thought. But shall I go down the list?
Absolutely.
Okay. So, Los Angeles.
Yep.
Sacramento. Mm-hmm. Indianapolis and Houston. Those were the first areas that they did it. And they obviously targeted, these large metropolitan areas first. But,
sure,
statewide, California.
Right now.
Yeah. And they're hitting, and then kind of the second phase is going to be the Chicago, Minnesota, Kentucky, Tennessee, and parts of Florida and Georgia. I mean, they're really hitting everything.
Yeah.
And then the third phase is going to be more of the East Coast, which is the heaviest populated areas in the country. Yeah. And that's probably going to be, well beyond, 2020, getting into 2022 and all this.
Yeah. New York, Boston, D.C.
Yeah, notice Washington, D.C.'s not on the list. I thought that might have been first.
Yeah, I thought so too.
The
perhaps
politicians...
because of security.
Well, I think there's a lot of reasons, and I think that... I hate to say it, but the people that control this and where it was rolled out, I bet they're not in those areas.
Yeah, exactly.
It's probably pretty far away from where they live.
Yeah.
And we're talking, Northern Virginia, Maryland, very affluent areas, up through New Jersey, New York, Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island.
Yep.
Hello.
Belgium.
And when they find out, Belgium. and also it's, and European countries are doing this too, and China's unrolling this really fast. They've got a ton of people. My point here is that I think that they want to kind of see what it does before it's in their own backyard.
Right.
I guess if you had a lot of money and control, you
just test on somebody else.
Yeah, I mean, you're not
squash that ant.
Yeah, you're not. Dr. Jekyll, tested it on himself, but those days are over.
Yeah.
So.
Exactly. Well, Tesla
was it
did
Dr.
the same
Jekyll?
thing.
Yeah, Dr. Jekyll was the good guy, and then Mr. Hyde was
was
Hyde was the yeah. Okay, so I got it right.
Yeah. Well, Tesla tested a lot of his stuff.
You had to bring up Tesla because that's so timely.
Yeah, and it's, at least from what I understand, his biographer stated that in his later days, he suffered greatly from physical pain.
Oh, wow.
And from some of the electromagnetic energy that he'd been far too close to.
We should talk about Tesla.
Let's do it.
Yeah, we'll do it. I have a little before we do that, and he's actually involved in my little list here of dates of how electromagnetic frequency and wavelengths came into being when it first started and how it was implemented.
Right.
Before I do that, is there anything you want to jump in? Is there a
I did want to say one thing real quick, that understand that these frequencies that we're talking about are artificial frequencies. They're not in alignment with our bodies, with the bodies of animals. They're not in alignment with the Schumann frequency, which
unnatural?
is the Schumann resonance, which is the actual frequency that the Earth generates, which is essentially our umbilical cord to this planet that we're on, though you can't see it. But I did want to mention that these
Schumann resonance is extremely important. If you don't know about that, look it up. It's like as if you're in meditation.
Yeah.
This is the frequency that you vibrate at.
And it's healing.
It's healing.
It's
and I think
directly connected to healing bodies, to healing minds. It's critical. In fact, it's so critical, a scientist did an experiment and built bunkers underground at this university and took volunteers,
no doubt,
to go be in these bunkers underground where they were not able to be exposed to the Schumann frequency. Okay? And they began to get ill quickly, very ill, violently ill. And then eventually he began to pipe in that frequency into the bunkers. And guess what? They all started to heal. They all started to get better.
Well, I wouldn't want to be in a bunker either. I mean, the best thing for you, if you're stressed or you don't feel right, and I'm going to listen to my own advice here, go out in nature, in sunlight.
Yeah.
Allow, nature to take you in.
Yeah, and
get away from everything. And that's the hard part for people who live in the city. I don't have a car. I don't need a car.
Yeah, and make sure that you're
Uber doesn't go out and drop
don't.
you off at the cow pasture. Not normally.
They don't. They don't. But make sure that while you're out there and you're looking around, if you see a tree that looks really green, it's probably a cell tower.
Or a cactus.
Right? And even, churches are now being paid to have cell towers inside the crosses.
That's just literally sacrilegious on so many levels.
So I did want to say this. Artificial EMFs, they do change the frequency of the body's electromagnetic fields. We're water, we're electricity. We know that, okay? It's a process that's been called entrainment, okay? Or basically sympathetic resonance, all right? While we're talking about Schumann, right? So entrainment is a tendency of an object to actually vibrate at the same frequency as something outside of it. So in other words, these powerful artificial EMFs overwhelm your body's own electrical fields and change their frequency, distort the balance of the body's field and its own communication system. So this will lead to actual physical, mental, and emotional chaos.
Wow.
It's been proven beyond the shadow of a doubt. The only ones that would deny it are the ones that are going to financially benefit from these processes.
And those studies were done outside independently. The amount of money that these communication companies have spent on your welfare and testing this is, I'm holding up a zero.
Yeah.
It's a big...
And in Europe, believe me, way overseas, the testing and the money that's being spent over there is substantial to try to find what's going on with this stuff. Over here,
the curiosity over there is much greater than in America.
Yeah, over here, no. And also, just real quick, the danger doesn't always leave you, like when you get away from these electromagnetic fields, because the biological systems, your body has been proven to actually store electromagnetic radiation within the cells in the form of what's called electromagnetic oscillations, right? So these oscillations can stubbornly stay inside of you and wreak havoc with your body's most important processes.
I'm not feeling too well hearing this.
Yeah, it's freaky that you can absorb it and carry it around, and it takes time to release that.
Yeah, it's not like you just pee it out.
No.
It probably would take a couple days away from it all.
Yeah, which
for
is
you
difficult.
You're talking about 3 days, a minimum, away from it all to settle your body, and then it could start healing again.
Exactly.
But hopefully you can do something on your own in these areas that meditation as best you can, and listen to certain types of music, the right frequency. We talked about 432 hertz.
Right.
Is healing. I don't know what to tell you, but if you live in the city, this is a personal choice. But they don't want you living out. They make it harder to live out in the country.
They do.
They really do.
Yeah. Trust me.
Even though it might, even though that's probably a healthier thing or a healthier way to live, you might be missing out on a whole bunch of stuff.
Sure.
But
you miss out on all the amazing restaurants and clubs and outings.
It's a catch-22, man.
Yeah,
I mean,
the conveniences of being in the city.
It's your choice.
Yeah, but you really, it comes down to what's better for wellness.
Yeah. So let me jump into this, and then we'll go back to you. But starting, we're going to go through a little history lesson here.
Yep.
Okay. So we're going to go back to the 1800s. So 1893.
Yeah.
So EMF, electromagnetic frequency, this is when Tesla was literally coming into, his right with a lot of different patents. This is the time period where he AC power, alternating current, and Edison was setting up his electric company and everything else. So this was about the time that electromagnetic frequency and EMP and all this stuff started being realized, and a lot of it was Tesla.
Yeah.
Who really kind of, identified this as possibilities. And I think he was a good person, and he wanted to provide this to be beneficial in some capacity.
Yeah, and he found a way that he could actually provide free energy for everyone.
Yeah, and that was a little bit later on. But 1895 was when Niagara Falls, they harnessed the power. This is hydroelectric.
Right.
Right. Okay. 1901 was when Marconi, Marconi, I think he really
played
stole.
the mambo, didn't he?
He absolutely played the mambo.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, he had the maracas too. He's the radio guy. He basically was the first translated radio message. It wasn't like radio was in the bean, but that was like it. And I think he stole Tesla's technology.
Yeah.
Right? We're not here to
Everybody
debate.
stole Tesla's technology.
Well, yeah, even Tesla stole his own technology.
Yeah.
So 1907 was the first vacuum tube. I'm sure a lot of people are just fascinated with that fact.
Yeah.
But this is where live radio transmission came into being.
Yeah.
1920 was the first commercial radio station.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And not much after that was we came into World War II, where the inception of microwave radar for warfare was coming into being.
Yep.
A lot of this technology based on Tesla's research
Yep.
and inventions. Then 1947, which is always a very pivotal year for many, many things. Well, we won't get into all the things, but 1947 was Bell Telephone first used its microwave kind of pulse relay.
Yeah.
Okay. Obviously, telephones are still hooked up, to wires. Not now, but they were initially, because that was the best technology. But this was the starting of this microwave. And then, of course, 1947 was when TV pretty much was born.
Yeah.
I mean, TV was born using microwaves.
Yes.
And these waves were, pretty. They weren't harmful at all. They're pretty. They're like baby waves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Docile.
So 1969, MCI, which is in the Virginia area, came into being. This was the start. And a lot of people don't even remember MCI.
Pentagon City, I think.
Yeah. But this was kind of the beginning of cell phones, and it wasn't in the 80s. In the 80s is really where cellular commercialism and everything else kind of came into being, and then into the 90s, and everybody started getting cell phones. The crazy thing is, by the year 2000, there was 2 million times the amount of airborne EMFs than there was in 1900. So 100 years later, 2 million times.
Wow.
So we're literally on the doorstep of just knowing what this crap does to us.
Yeah.
Okay. Also, note, in 1979, the EPA stopped measuring and reading EMF. So there's no No oversight.
No governing body, nothing. There's nobody to say, well, wait a minute, let's check that first.
Because these really, really rich corporations, they can help you get elected.
Yeah.
And then what are you going to do?
Right.
You're going to go against them?
No.
You're sunk. Even worse than if you're living next to a transmission tower, perhaps.
Yeah, and this technology just keeps marching and keeps multiplying by magnanimous proportions.
I always like to say it's time for us to take our foot off the accelerator. Aren't we moving a little fast?
Yeah.
Unless people know, people in the know more than we do, which is probably the case.
Yeah. Yeah. But listen, just to interject here real quick, because we're not about bashing anything, right?
It sounds like we are, but we're little.
But we know that through the advent of cellular technology and things like this, we've saved many lives, countless lives, by calling in an accident at an intersection, or a child is lost, or what anything. It's changed our lives. I mean, I personally am being kept alive by a computer.
I personally like the fact that I can reach out to my family members in an instant. Now, go back to the day, hey, it wasn't so bad where you didn't have to keep in constant contact. I mean, today, how many phone calls and emails and texts I got?
Yep.
I mean, it makes your head spin.
Smartphone changed everything.
I really, I know the drawbacks.
Yeah.
By not, it's harder to go back now.
Yep.
Right?
Sure.
Because once you have it, you don't want to do without it.
Yep.
But those days, we didn't see many problems, really.
No.
I mean, things were just slower.
They were slower.
You were in a big hurry to go anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, we had God, when the fax machine came out, that was just amazing. You mean
I'm still trying to learn how to use carbon paper.
Yeah,
look that up for all of you oldies.
Yeah, exactly.
Or youngies.
Yep. Or what was it called? It was a.
I know what you're doing this hand motion.
Printing press thing that you would turn and it would make copies.
Yeah.
As you.
Well, that was yeah. That's. I was just watching a movie the other day, and it was. I know what it was. Watch Bullet with Steve McQueen.
Yeah.
And when they're in the police office, he's making a copy of something, and he's using that machine, and it's just a
mimeograph.
Mimeograph. That's it. Yeah. Whoa, what a pull!
Wow, how about that? Right out of the cobwebs. Mimeograph machine.
Yeah. I feel the cobwebs on me, man, right now. That was a good one.
Thanks.
Yeah. So if you watch enough old movies, you see all this stuff.
Yeah, like the brick phones.
I still have my pager. I hate that thing.
Do you?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it doesn't work. I'm just saying it's in the drawer.
Yeah,
I just have an old pager.
I probably have one too.
Yeah.
I also have a beta machine somewhere.
Well, I'm sure, like I said, you've saved everything.
I have.
Yeah. You have a teletype.
My wife. Yeah, it's bad. But anyway, back to what you were saying.
Yeah. Well, what I want to talk about this 4G, the difference specifically physically. Let's get into what it does really physically.
Yeah.
Okay. So 4G, which is fourth generation. And we already described
which causes its own problems in it.
Right,
itself.
and it's only up to 5, whatever, the gigabytes or whatever it was. Yeah. 4G travels along the surface of the skin. This has been determined.
Yep.
Whereas 5G, and I don't know if this is carved in stone or speculation, but 5G has the ability to penetrate into deep tissue of the body.
All the way to the cells.
Correct. Which means organs and internal systems are affected.
Right.
So we always talk about scratching the surface, and again, another pun, but this goes deep.
Yeah.
And we just don't know. Yeah. I mean, it could literally cause worldwide or at least statewide eradication of a lot of people.
Sure.
I mean, I don't know.
Or horrible consequences of body and mind.
Yeah, and it might even be like a slow deterioration, which is even worse.
Yeah, I mean it's bad. It's like, for example, you're talking about 4G right now. Let me just give you this quickie little list, right, and hold your place there, right? So now, when you're looking at some of these symptoms, and there are over 300 symptoms of electromagnetic hypersensitivity.
I don't want to hear them all because then I'll manifest everyone.
Or back in the 60s, it was just called radiation poisoning.
Sure. You can go through them. That's okay.
But I'm just going to give you a few.
Yeah.
Okay. So some of these symptoms may include anxiety, sleep disturbances, including insomnia, headaches, depression, depressive symptoms, tiredness and fatigue, dysthesia, which is a painful, itchy sensation.
I'm sorry, did you say something? I wasn't listening.
Yeah. Lack of concentration.
Still not
This is my
listening.
next one. Yeah. Changes in memory, dizziness, irritability, loss of appetite, weight loss, restlessness, nausea, skin burning and tingling, and also changes in your electroencephalogram, which measures the electrical activity in the brain.
I knew a girl that gave me all that.
See? And you should have kept her. But when you're
How do you
looking
know I didn't?
at these, well, maybe you did. When you're looking at these just as a small capsule of symptoms, look at how many diseases those symptoms directly correlate with.
They align, and it would be really hard to differentiate the disease from this, from that, from this.
Exactly.
So there again, it's going to be really even harder for the medical professionals to identify where and what you may have in the future, because it could all be related to this, and it could already right now be related to this with the huge increases of everything that you discussed before. You know, the autism, the Alzheimer's, and then cancers,
including,
and just everything.
Brain cancer right next to your ear where you talk on your cell phone.
Well, hello. I mean, do you have to?
Yeah, I mean it's very real. But go ahead. I'm sorry. I just
wanted
to drop some of those.
I'm going to ask a
in.
question at the end. I got to save my big questions for the end, because
Sure.
I'm going to ask a question to everybody. But it really hits home. But you know, you forget. You know, people are holding. You mentioned the phone right up to your ear.
Yeah.
Right. So you don't even have to have it. I mean, you're either putting it in your pocket or wherever.
Yeah.
But even when the phone is off and your computer is off, they're still emitting and sending and collecting electromagnetic waves.
Right.
I mean,
Looking for you.
even if it's off.
Yeah, looking for you.
Yeah. It's invisible radiation signals pulsing all the time. Hear me out.
Everywhere.
All the time.
Yeah.
And what about all those smart meters in your house?
Oh, God.
I mean,
that's
okay. We're not going to get into that today.
That might be its own show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. And I don't know enough about them. All I can say definitively is that they're listening to you, 24 hours a day.
They know when you're opening your refrigerator, how long you're cooking your stove for, all of that. And not to mention they're pulsing signals reporting you 90,000 times a day.
Yeah, it's a constant thing, and that's what this 5G does. Instead of like the old meters, like the smart meters on the outside of the house where, well, the old meters were metered, and the guy would come out, or the girl or whatever, and check the meter and say, oh, you use this much. And it was more of like an estimated bill.
It was analog meter.
It was analog. And then they went to the digital, which is a smart meter. And these are updating constantly. So that way, they want to tell you, the benefits of what this technology can do. But one of the benefits is, well, we can get your bill more accurate.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then also you'll know
you can
when
reduce your energy costs.
Yeah, and then you'll know when you're using more energy during what parts of the day and stuff.
Right.
Well, guess what? I already know.
Right.
When I'm home.
Right. Exactly. It's pretty simple.
The benefits to us on a day-to-day basis is really zero.
Yeah.
They've literally, and when you look up all this information,
But they've sold us the snakeskin oil.
Yeah, they've outlined 2 benefits. That's it.
Yeah.
You'll know what your bill is more accurately, and you'll know what when you're using. I'm sorry, I could care less.
Exactly.
How about free energy?
Yeah. And by the way, those smart meters are transmitting data to their own halos of cellular antennas and towers that are on top of the power lines in every neighborhood.
Yeah. We do sound like 2 angry old men.
Yeah. It's okay.
Okay.
All right.
We're not old.
No.
But
we are
we're
men.
Well, we're men. I don't know. Can we say that still?
No.
Or are we going to get like
going to be censored?
Yeah. But here's a big question. Why are these health side effects being ignored? Why aren't they kind of adding it up and going, maybe we should look at this, Is it that these corporate control rules and dictates, government policy?
Yeah.
And these policies favor big corporations at the behest of, planet Earth and humanity? And these are big questions.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to sound, overly dramatic, but maybe I do.
Yeah. Because
we're really in a critical time in North America and parts of Europe and other countries because there's very limited government oversight and policy to curtail this. And, some countries are smart. They're going, hey, hold up. We do have restrictions on Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
But this is overkill. And when I state overkill,
yeah,
it's
overkill. There are schools in Germany that have taken Wi-Fi out of the schools
Yeah.
because they know the dangers to the children.
Good, they know.
Yeah.
Or they speculate this could be something, and they're just going, hey, let's hold up.
Sweden and Switzerland. I mean, there's actually countries where electro-hypersensitivity is a disabling component or disease. You can actually go out on disability by having that.
Yeah. Why is 5G being fast-tracked so much? And our current safety standards protecting citizens, from long-term health effects, they're not.
No.
And of course, we may not know until it's too late.
Right. And so many of
Years
these
in the future.
reports and so many of these tests are being done by the cellular carriers themselves. So they're not going to say that their own technology is not good for you. In fact, if you read the fine print, if you open your box of your new cell phone and you read the fine print, it tells you don't touch the phone. Well,
Yeah.
how are you supposed to use the phone if you don't touch it? But they're covered because they said, hey, we told you don't touch the phone.
I guess you need to get like boxing gloves or something.
Yeah.
Try to dial with that.
Yeah, or Faraday cage filters on your your winter gloves.
It just doesn't add up, does it?
No, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't make a lot of sense. And when you really all things considered, it could just be, Dr. Evil is behind all this.
Sure.
I could see that.
Yeah, and it's not just the 5G. It's Wi-Fi, it's cell phones, power lines, it's computers, it's hair dryers, it's microwaves, refrigerators, alarm clocks. All this stuff gives off EMFs. In fact, there's a great book that was written. Go ahead.
No, do you need your toaster to talk to your vacuum cleaner?
No.
Or your I don't know, your clock radio talk to your
Right,
doorknob.
right,
I don't know. I'm sorry. I
right.
just
Or-
had to
that's
jump
okay.
in.
Or Alexa, French toast, please. I mean,
Yeah.
I'll just go make it. It's
Yeah.
okay. But when you look at all of these gizmos and gadgets, right, particularly the wireless ones, and most everything is now they're even talking about wireless electricity coming sometime in the future. That's going to be interesting. But all of these devices have now become smart devices. It's not necessary. You don't need an alarm clock that does all these things. You just need it to wake you up. You see, and when you look at all of
the
the
sun
things,
used to do that for a lot of people.
exactly. There's a doctor that did a book. His name slips me right now because I'm just whatever. I'm overwhelmed with all this information.
Yeah,
but
you're getting EMF'd.
Dr. Milham. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Released the findings of many, many, many years of research, and what he did was he looked at man-made diseases like diabetes and fibromyalgia and all these, and he scaled them out according to a certain level of years between, say, 1930 and 1960. So basically, all we really had that was wireless back then was television and radio. Okay, so he looked at the electrification of yeah, it's
Same
tough.
thing.
Yeah, it's a tough word of America, right? And for example, in 1920, I think it was like maybe 20% of the people that lived in the inner cities had electricity, and
Right.
then it grew and grew and grew, and then eventually farms began to get electricity, and eventually, everybody had it, and all that stuff. So what he did was he charted the growth of these man-made diseases alongside the electrification of America and how many people began to have electricity, particularly and first and foremost in the inner cities,
Right.
and then in suburbia after that. And it was literally a straight line. The more electricity and the more type of technology like that, the higher the rates for man-made diseases became. It was literally a straight line. So we're not talking about just wireless and cell phones and things like that, but electricity in general, because it's an electromagnetic current, right?
Yeah.
So when we're looking at this stuff, the 5G is just another layer added to what we've already had in place.
And it's a multiple layer. It's
It's
not just
huge.
another same kind of layer. Like, you get that 3% increase on your next rent.
Right.
It's bam.
And you don't have any choice.
It doesn't appear to be. It doesn't appear to be there's an uproar. I don't see people going out in the streets going, "Hey,
Right.
you're electrocuting us."
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe when everybody has somebody sick in their family,
Yeah.
which is probably not too far away, judging from
No, probably not.
everything else.
Yeah, trust me.
You know what?
If somebody dumps a bag of trash in your yard, That's illegal. That's your yard. Get your trash out of my yard.
Yeah.
But
No.
we're being dumped on
Yeah.
with microwave radiation.
Yeah. You
24
don't have a
hours
choice.
a day, 7 days a week with no choice.
Even if you choose to keep your old analog meter on your house,
Yeah.
all your neighbors may have
Smart meters.
Smart meters.
And they're coming at you.
Any new house built in the last, I don't know,
Few
10
years.
Yeah, 10, 12 years probably has, this new meter. And we talked
Right.
about the apartment complexes that have,
Oh, God.
you know.
In the old days, if you lived in an apartment building, let's say, okay, there was one electric meter on that building, and you pay your electricity was included in your rent.
Well, not.
See?
Yeah.
So now, all the buildings that are out there that are apartment buildings and businesses and office buildings and things like that, they all have a separate meter.
It's all called net lease.
Yeah, separate meter.
Yeah.
Everybody's triple net, right?
Yeah.
So you're paying for your own utilities, right?
Absolutely
and
correct.
so you see this bank on the side of the building, this bank of digital transmitting, cellular, radiating smart meters for the power company.
Bam, 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 bam.
90,000 times a day transmitting for each one.
Yeah.
And not only is it going out with its transmission, but it's jacking back into your electrical system through your house.
Okay. So no, extremely scary.
Yeah.
And you that was your network moment right there.
Thank you.
That sounded good. So, question. Big question.
Yeah.
If I told you, and when I mean you, I'm talking to everybody. If I told you that your cell phone was killing you, would you still use it? If I told you that your cell phone was killing you, would you still use it? And you knew it, and it was killing you. Okay, it may not be tomorrow, but it was every day.
Yeah.
Would you still use it? See? Okay. I bet people would say, no, I'm good with it. It's fine.
Yeah.
I'll take the risk.
Yeah.
Because you don't know.
Right, because there are no symptoms present.
No.
When the symptoms
Even
present,
even when the symptoms come on, people are just like,
put on something
I've got to
else.
have my cell phone, I mean, I see people walking across the street, not looking at traffic, looking at their phone. I mean, if the car doesn't hit you and kill you, this will eventually maybe.
Yep.
So
and you
hey,
will know. You will know.
We're being a
eventually.
little dramatic, but
Listen,
hey.
there was one. I'm so sensitive to this stuff. I got to share this with you real quick. I know we're going on a little long, but I'm so sensitive to it that I can tell somebody who's near me. I'll ask them, "Is your Wi-Fi on your phone?"
Mm.
No, I don't use my Wi-Fi. Can I see it? Sure enough, it's on. I remember spending the night in a log cabin with no Wi-Fi anywhere, nothing. And about 2:00 in the morning, I was awakened.
you used to ask them, hey, are you wearing Old Spice?
Right.
But now
exactly.
it's like,
yeah, is your Wi-Fi on?
is your Wi-Fi on?
So I was awakened with terrible cardiac arrhythmia and palpitations and pain and chest pain, and I was ready to go call 911 and head to the hospital. And then I started thinking the person that was in the other room.
TMI.
Right. I said, is your hotspot, which is basically using your phone as a router, okay, as a Wi-Fi router, is your hotspot on? No, why would that be on? Well, can you just check it? Sure enough, it was on.
Again, a hotspot used to mean something different.
It did, really, absolutely.
But no, yeah.
But within an hour and a half of that being turned off, my body went right back down to the way it's supposed to be.
Listen, I'm sorry that happened to you. I mean, and you just have to be, when you're cognizant of this.
Yeah.
Maybe you can take more care of you and your family and just, see what's out there. I mean, if you're driving down the road, I'd rather see a horse than a cell tower.
Sure.
That's just me.
Yeah.
But no doubt, all this is leading to the future, and 5G, I believe, is the next stepping stone to AI, artificial intelligence.
Sure, yeah.
And that's really where a lot of this is going, because when everything becomes real time and everything can happen at the same time that we're thinking it, that's AI. Yeah. That's the definition right there.
You know what? Can I just ask you just a question?
Sure.
Maybe it catch you off the hook here. You're talking about AI. Did you ever think, ever, in your entire years of growing up, that anyone would allow a self-driving motor vehicle to be on the road? No driver, no tracks, no wires, no cable cars, just a free-flowing motor vehicle, basically all by itself, being on the road, driving through cities and around people and children.
Well, based on my upbringing, what I saw in the movies and what I thought, there would be flying cars by now.
Yeah.
In this year. But no, in all honesty, I'm amazed. Things have changed and some things haven't changed. It's just the things within the things have changed.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
Can I quote you?
Absolutely, because I'm a philosopher, and we really only make sense to ourselves.
Right.
It's just for those of us that sit back and observe all this, it's just
It's
like
inconceivable.
It's inconceivable. I mean, Tesla really wanted to, give wireless communication and to everyone as a benefit. They took this and they made death rays out of it. This is what we're talking about.
Right.
It's disgusting, and people are insane.
Yep.
I mean, they're being affected too.
Absolutely. And recently, I don't know if you saw it on 60 Minutes. There was
I don't watch that program.
Yeah. Well, there was a story based upon so many of our people that were in embassies and working in foreign areas, like particularly China, Cuba, places where they began to get ill, violently ill. And then they
worked too hard,
brain damage and all kinds of stuff, and ultimately found out that it was some sort of microwave weapon, or sound-based weapon that was directed specifically at their offices.
MK Ultra.
Yeah.
Oh, did I say that?
Yeah.
That just came out.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was. These are people who never probably believed this to be possible, who now know through personal experiential evidence that it is highly possible.
And you won't hear from them because they're being tracked and they can't get out any truthful information out onto the internet or in any type of public domain, and it's certainly not at 5 or 6 o'clock news. So anything else? I mean, this was a loaded topic.
It was, and I do have a couple of things quickly to add. What can you do about it?
Well, that's a good.
So
that's a good
there are
question.
a few things that we can do to protect ourselves a little bit.
Sure.
In some of these. So, for example, in your home environment, if you have electronics that you're not using, just unplug them. Okay, it's not enough to turn them off, right? So even if they are turned off, like you mentioned earlier, they're still giving off EMFs. Move all of these electronic devices away from your bed. In fact, I suggest out of the bedroom. Okay, don't use your cell phone. Yeah, don't use your cell phone for an alarm clock. Just get a little wind up, mini Big Ben thing, and use that. Don't charge your phone next to your bed. Charge it in another room. Okay.
I have one check.
Yeah. So all of these things, and also I know it's difficult for many people, but don't have a TV in your bedroom, and certainly don't fall asleep with the TV on all night long.
I still only have one check, so sorry. I'm going to have to do better.
And if there's anything that you see that's around that has a little blue light on it, blue light messes with your brain, and put a little piece of black electrical tape over that blue light.
Still only have one check.
Okay,
I'm not doing well, am I?
Block out the blue lights. All right, it's bad. So then, like I said, distance is important.
Thank you.
Okay. Even with smart meters, with Wi-Fi, distance is important. Remember, Wi-Fi signals, if they go through a brick wall or a steel wall, they can go right through your body, and they will leave stuff.
Yeah,
behind.
and that's another reason the 5G, it's because of the short wavelengths. It doesn't go as much through walls like the 4G does.
Right.
So, but the 4G ain't going away. It's
Yeah.
not like you just stop that and then, hey, you got this. You're going to have both.
Yeah.
Going simultaneously because so it's only just going to get more and more and more.
Right. Kind of like with Wi-Fi, you're dealing with, most people have two signals. They have 2.4G and 5G, but that's not generation. That's gigahertz.
Yeah.
So the 2.4G will penetrate just about anything.
Sure.
5G
Yeah.
is a stronger signal. It'll go further, but it can't go through stuff.
That's what I'm saying. They're covering everything.
Yep.
Every inch on both sides of everything.
So you did a lot of homework on this thing. I'm proud of you. This is awesome.
Well, I didn't know anything.
It's great information. I hope that folks, take it and run with it.
I might have even
worth.
sounded like I knew what I was talking about, but
You always sound like you know what you're talking
this
about.
this is an important topic. I mean, this subject is all consuming, and again, we bring it to you because it is that important. We don't just talk about willy-nilly stuff here. on quantum flow. This is, we're hard hitting
Yeah.
on some of this stuff, and hopefully this makes its way to some people's ears.
Yeah.
Through hopefully a not too harmful device.
Yeah. And things are rapidly changing. I think that people are becoming more and more aware of the probable damages that can be caused by the 5G.
They will.
But unfortunately, we're stuck. We're just powerless when it comes to fighting it.
Not if we throw all our technology down, or we get out in the streets and start, saying something.
Yeah.
Maybe that'll happen. I don't know. I'm certainly not going to lead it.
Yeah.
Because, the CCTV cameras, they have one at every corner now.
Yes, they do.
So it's just like you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't.
Yeah, and those things are probably wireless. So
you had to go there. Huh?
It's a disconnected world in so many ways.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we're connecting here.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay,
Thank you,
buddy.
sir. Appreciate it.
Take care.
You too.
You've been listening to Quantum Flow Radio. Email us online at quantumflowradio@gmail.com.